419 with Gretchen DeBacker, Matt Killam, and Kevin Mullen.
Welcome into the 419, powered by WGTE and presented by Witro Wealth Management. I'm Kevin Mullen.
Gretchen DeBecker.
No Matt Killam today.
I know, it should be a good show.
Yeah, Matt said it's going to be the best show we've ever had.
Yes.
I don't know. I like the dynamic of all three of us,
too.
and so he is missed already this
Okay.
quickly into the program.
That does not bode well for me.
No, it'll be no. I miss you too when
Yes,
you're gone,
okay,
Gretchen.
good. Thank you.
That's true. It's Wellness Wednesday.
It is.
Presented by our friends at Workspring. We've got a jam-packed show. We're going to talk about a lot of different topics. We'll inevitably touch on mental health and wellness. And so we've got Michelle Blue who's going to be joining us. We've got Jillian Cowell from Waterville Primary is going to be joining us as well. And then we've got two people that I really enjoy them and I'm excited about the conversation. Father Jeff Rose, Father Joe Newman from St. Francis, the outgoing and incoming presidents of that school, talking about leadership transition, succession planning, something that I think the nonprofit space doesn't do very well.
Right.
And so I'm excited to hear kind of the origin of some of that and what this empowers St. Francis to be able to do. They're doing some incredible things, just broke ground on a new facility. And so
I didn't know that.
We'll hear all of that. Yeah, they've got a big new athletic facility.
In the back there?
Going to the back.
Nice.
Correct. So that'll be great. Excited to hear more about
Yeah.
that. It is Wellness Wednesday.
It is.
I do want to talk. We're not supposed to, as part of public media, endorse products or services or businesses. But
you're going to anyway?
I'm going to anyway because it's on its way out, and I am heartbroken for our community. My beloved pharmacy, Westgate Family Pharmacy, announced that they are closing, as inevitably happens, right? When you've got a small business at Cricket West, a small business owner that wants and deserves to retire.
Right.
And
You've talked about her before and how meaningful she is to you and your family, how attentive she was. I've never been there, so I don't know. What is her name?
Najwa, the pharmacist there, is just an incredible human being. And it truly, I've had my own share of health challenges we've talked about on this show. And there are very few healthcare professionals that I believe actually care about me and my family. The second time I walked in the door, she greeted me by name. I walked in with my wife, who she'd never met, and she greeted my wife by name. She knows the kids.
Is she stalking you online, do you think?
Maybe. I mean, sure, great.
But hey, that's
homework.
customer service.
I love it. I loved every minute of it. And so I think it's for me, when I saw the announcement they were closing, it was a reminder how important it is to choose local. And we've, this show is about highlighting great people doing great things, making our community better. And I just shout out to Najwa and the team. Westgate Family Pharmacy have certainly done that. They've made our community and our neighborhood better. And it's a reminder to me that as I think about, all of the places that I could have championed them more.
Right.
And again, I think this is a decision for her based on time, not based on anything else.
Success
but it's
rate,
man, I would love to see that stay in Cricket West. And we'll see what comes into that space and what the community needs next. So, all right, let's take a break.
Okay.
When we come back, we will kick off Wellness Wednesday, and we will welcome in. Easy for me to say.
Yes.
Michelle Blue. We'll take a break. We'll be right back on the 419, powered by WGTE.
Support for the 419 comes from Witro Wealth Management, where we understand that your financial path is personal. Advisory services are offered through Capital Investment Advisory Services, LLC. Securities offered through Capital Investment Group, Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. More information at witroadvisors.com.
The 419, powered by WGTE, is made possible in part by supporters like you. Thank you.
Welcome back into the 419, powered by WGTE. It's Wellness Wednesday, presented by our friends at Workspring. We're joined now by Michelle Blue, and I am going to, I wrote it down, and I can't read my own handwriting, licensed, independent
Clinical therapist.
Clinical therapist. I was like,
Yes.
there's words in there.
You got
and
it.
I'm not smart enough to know how to say your title, let alone to know what that even means.
And in fact, he needs your services.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, we all
She's
do.
telling
Yes,
on you.
that's true.
We all
do.
we all need a therapist.
Absolutely.
You're with Harbor.
Yes.
Talk to me about what is your role. What does all of that alphabet soup mean?
Yeah, so I am a licensed independent clinical therapist, as Kevin mentioned, and I'm specializing in mental health. So what we do, we're from Lighthouse EAP, a subsidiary of Harbor. So not exactly Harbor General Pop, but more so we are contracted with over 125 companies here in the city to provide services to their employees.
Got it.
And the employer overall. So
And would it be employers and their family members?
absolutely. So
Okay.
we service any spouse or significant other in the home and any children in the home under the age of 26.
What are you finding is a common need, or I hate to say trend, but
Yeah.
what are you finding is the most common call you get or most common
Yeah.
complaint that somebody has?
So I would say, because we're partnered with a lot of companies for their workplace, a lot of stress in the workplace, right? We work with first responders, we work with healthcare agencies, we work with universities, just factories, I mean, you name it. So the bigger thing I would say is just stress in the workplace.
And that translates into children and families and then their school
Absolutely,
lives.
absolutely.
So what is something that, what is a behavior that's exhibited or a sign that a parent might have about a need to talk to somebody in a child?
Yeah, so a lot of people think like mental health has to be severe, but it doesn't have to be. Sometimes, like for example, anxiety can present as like overthinking, being overwhelmed. It could be like ruminating. It could be being obsessive or compulsive about something. Even with depression, it doesn't have to mean that you're having a depressive episode, but it could be, hey, I have a lack of motivation. I don't feel like getting out of the bed. You might see kiddos, their grades start to drop, or some uncanny behaviors that kind of come from them that hey, like, this is, something's changing here, right?
If you don't see something like that, is it a thing to have your child talk to someone preventive as a
Yes.
preventive measure?
Yes, so I think you hit the nail right on the head there. So with Lighthouse EAP being a subsidiary of Harbor, what we specialize in is preventative care. So much like if you would go to your primary care provider to make sure you're doing your routine visits to hopefully help you catch something before it materializes into something else, that's what we do with our counseling services. So the biggest thing that I like about our organization is you don't have to have a diagnosable issue. You can literally come in and talk to us about stress, right? Which is not necessarily diagnosed in the DSM-5. So you don't have to have a diagnosable issue. We offer phone appointments, video appointments, in-person appointments to meet people where they are. And again, that benefit is free, given through parents and their employers down to the children.
Give me some advice or tips for people that are trying to manage stress, that are trying to manage the chaos.
Yeah.
In working with youth, I would always say that, I describe kids as a popsicle stick, right? There's more pressure to fail, more pressure to succeed
Yes.
on either end. And when you put that much pressure on something, it inevitably will snap.
Yeah.
What's the advice you have for parents and for kids to manage that stress?
Yeah, I would say first and foremost, when you think about who you are as a person, go back to the root, right? So consider what your values are and then make sure that your behavior, your words, who you are as a person matches that value system. A lot of times, the biggest way we can understand that we're not necessarily doing what we need to do or that we're stressed is when we understand that, wait a minute, what I'm saying and doing is different than what my belief system is. So I would say have the parents check in with the kiddos and talk about what our value systems are, what our standards and what our standards are, and how do we hold ourselves accountable moving forward.
What's some data that you have as it relates
Yeah.
to kids and families and sort of the current state that we're in?
Oh, you would be surprised.
Yeah.
But I did bring a few stats today, if that's okay to share.
Yeah, sure.
So approximately 1 in 7 youth ages 10 through 19 globally experiences a mental health issue. For depression, nearly 1 in 5 U.S. teens had at least one major depressive episode in the past year, which is significant, right? Anxiety, over 20% of adolescents had a diagnosed anxiety or depression condition in 2023. Of course, we would be remiss to not mention suicide and risk with that. So suicide is the second leading cause of death among people aged 10 through 14, and 20% of high schoolers seriously considered suicide, with 9% attempting it in 2023. Girls and LGBTQ plus youth report significantly higher rates of sadness or hopelessness. And we're also seeing a trend in increase with comorbidity of mental health and substance use, specifically marijuana.
I know this is getting worse, right? And so I guess my question is it getting worse because it's getting worse? Or is it getting worse because we're getting better at diagnosing and talking about it? I mean, what do you think why is that trend happening?
Yeah, Kevin, I think that's a good question. I think dually, right? Like it's getting worse because more people are talking about it. It's not as taboo, right? So that means more people are being diagnosed. Also, it's getting worse because just with our socioeconomic climate, right? Like there's a lot of stressors that are happening on the outside of people's four-walled homes and also in the inside. A lot of pressures, like you mentioned earlier.
Why is it important to seek help, right? I mean, the classic line I think about, with my boys, it's like, toughen up, right? Like, you got this, fight through it. We're not. Why is it important for if something, or maybe it's a two-part question. Why is it important to get help? And what are the lines that sort of determine like, now it's time to get help, right? Like it's made it past this point.
Yeah, I would say it's important to get help because you want to be well, right? And we know that not only does mental health impact us personally, it impacts everyone that we come in contact with. And I think that definite point of like saying, hey, I've got to do something at this point is when you start to see a noticeable like increase or decrease in your behaviors, right? So if you're more impulsive, if you are more argumentative or cynical, if you have an increase in lack of motivation, if your sleep or your appetite is disrupted, if your social life has changed, any of those key indicators would say, hey, it's time to check in with someone.
One of the taglines that Harbor uses, and you have on some of the materials in front of you, is support, not stigma.
Yes.
Because so many times a mental health diagnosis is considered by many to be not a disease, like not something it's a medical condition. If you had diabetes, you would take insulin. If you had cancer, you would get chemotherapy. But the stigma around a mental health diagnosis and the ability to take or not take medication, to engage in services or not, is a problem.
Yes, it is.
In schools, it's a problem in the community, it's a problem in families. So what is the message, either Harbor's message or your message to people about the stigma and that this is not something that, if you have this diagnosis, it's not something that can be ignored?
That's right. Well, I would say for people, you're not alone, right? And I think that you've got to be brave and courageous to really check in with yourself and to know that even though society may stigmatize mental health, there are a lot of us out here that are willing to work with you and meet you right where you are. And as far as Harbor, we do our best in the community to make sure that we are meeting people where they're at and being able to honor them for who they are and for where they want to go in their lives.
We're talking with Michelle Blue with Harbor here on a Wellness Wednesday presented by Workspring. I'm thinking about you, right?
Yes.
And thinking about, and I know that your job does not allow you to talk about yourself, but I think about you spend all day talking to people that are dealing with challenges, right? And some of them are big and some of them are small, but all of them are heavy.
Yes.
And then you're carrying all of these. What are your kind of self-care steps to make sure that you're not taking this home?
Absolutely. So as a clinical therapist, I have really good boundaries. I've learned to develop that over time to make sure that.
Now, what's that?
Let's talk about it, Gretchen.
You're laid out.
Are we still rolling?
Yeah, we are.
No. But boundaries are making sure that you're keeping yourself safe mentally, physically, emotionally, making sure that you are fully present in that session with that client, but making sure that, like for me, I make sure I take a few moments between sessions to kind of unpack some stuff, unwind. We have an excellent team there at Lighthouse EAP, so we're able to consult and debrief if we need to. When I go home, I'm making sure that, contrary to popular belief, I don't want to talk when I get home.
Yeah.
Or I'm tuning out of the TV, like I'm shutting everything down, and I'm very intentional with quiet time when I come home. I also like to be by the water. I think that's very relaxing. So we're missing Matt, because I would have talked to him about the metro parts. But lots of other things that I do that are like, what's the term? It's like, it's sensitivity, but it's like low involvement, right? So like we're always thinking critically every day, all day, but when you come home, you want to have like low involvement activities to make sure that you're caring for yourself well.
Do you
My
watch
wife and I
the
do brainless TV.
Yeah.
I mean, that's our thing.
Yeah,
At the end of the
that's
day,
true.
it's like, I want to watch a show that we don't have to think about too much.
That's right. That's
Do you
right.
watch
Mindless.
the show Couples Therapy?
You know, I've seen clips of it on social media, but I've not tuned in.
It's a good show. At least I think it's a good show. I don't know how realistic it is. But one of the things that's interesting to me about what they portray on the show is exactly what you just talked about, what she does in between the sessions.
Yes.
She sits and sort of, you can see it, you know,
You center
centering
yourself.
herself.
Yep.
She looks at her notes.
That's right.
She has a dog in there, her dog that she, you know, that she pets. And
That's
she
right.
sort of, it's just sort of an interesting representation of what you were just talking about.
Yeah.
How bad is social media for young people?
It is terrible.
I don't mean to like give you the answer in the question, but if you could wave a magic wand and make a policy in this country about social media for the benefit of your clients, what would it be?
I would say to only friend people that you know or people that you might look up to. So be mindful of who your circle is and the things that they're doing. I would also put a time limit on how long you're on social media, because then we can get into the whole thing of doom scrolling and then exposing yourself to adverse events, which can also increase mental health issues. I would also say to be mindful of the comparison, right, of yourself to other people, because social media is very easily to do that. So I would say kind of reel back a little bit on that.
Are you seeing anything in the people that you are treating and talking to about the thing that concerns me a lot about it is just the exposure. I mean, I'm 56 years old. The stuff that's on social media now that I know my nieces look at is something that I wouldn't have seen for like 10 years, till I was 10 years older than they currently are. And the exposure to that and being able to look up stuff, to me, is alarming.
It is. It's kind of like how some people will say, oh, I don't want to be Dr. Google. It's like when you go to your primary care, you're like, hey, oh, I did a sneeze or I did a cough. Now, like, I have the worst case scenario, right? We're automatically jumping there based off of all the research that we can do.
WebMD will always take you to cancer.
That's right.
I'm telling you, you're going there.
Like, I have a splinter. I have a splinter. It's not cancer.
You have a common cold,
You
right?
never know.
So with social media and mental health, it's the same way, right? So a lot of people get on social media. I know TikTok is really big at that. Like, a lot of people are self-diagnosing themselves. We've got to be very careful and make sure you see a professional to really check in with you and what's going on.
You guys have got an event coming up later this summer, July 18th. Talk to me about what is happening. What is the Harbor Walk for Hope?
Yes. So Harbor Walk for Hope is very similar to the NAMI event that just passed, but basically it's a community event that helps to bring awareness to mental health. It also offers a lot of community resources, free, right? No cost. So I would just say everyone come on out, support the organization, but more so mental health, which is the overarching term. It's on July 18th. It's from 10 to 1, rain or shine, and it's going to be at the Ribbon at Glass City Metro Parks, 1521 Front Street, Toledo, Ohio. Lots of activities, music, and fun.
If you could give people, again, we'll go back to your magic wand, right? Give people some advice, a change to their daily routine, something that will improve their mental health. What is the thing that you would recommend for your clients and for our viewers and listeners?
I would say that everything starts in the morning time. So really pay attention to whatever your morning routine is. And typically the mental health concerns kind of come as a result of that. If you're jumping on the phone first thing, and if it's not like news related or research related, you have to be wary of that, because that sets the tone for your overall day. So maybe do some grounding activities, some deep breathing, some stretching, getting the blood flowing, tune into things that really center you, that are important to you. I would say start it off in the morning.
One of the things I've noticed recently with my friend group and just in general is people trying to find real things.
Yes.
So some people refer to it as touching grass, but like
Hugging a tree. Yeah.
away from the social media stuff to things that like talking to someone
That's right.
face to face. Is that part of counseling or therapy?
Yes.
Yeah.
We have a lot of individuals who suffer from anxiety, and I think the pandemic really did a number on a lot of people. And a lot of people are experiencing the concern with coming outside of the home. So even in the office, like that's exposure therapy for some, to
Right.
be face to face with a clinician to kind of talk through their anxious thoughts. Right? So I believe social interaction is key. We have to expose ourselves to different cultures, different people, different personalities to be able to really challenge our inner self and to grow.
We're talking about
Amazing.
Michelle Blue with Harbor.
Yes.
Thank you so much. How many
Thank
times a
you.
day do you say, and how does that make you feel?
All day, every day.
All right. All right. And how does
You
that-
made us feel very smart, so thank you for
Thank
being here.
you.
Michelle, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to take a break. When we come back, Jillian Cowell from Waterville Primary will join us. We'll talk a little bit more about mental health and kids. It's the 419, powered by WGTE.
To me, community means connecting to others.
I'm Donnie Miller, and welcome to The Point.
I love CBS Kids!
We're a community committed to education. Discover new ideas, dive into exciting subjects, and engage with the world around you.
I would send them personally a t-shirt. Crime doesn't pay in the old West End, pass it on. That's how we cleaned up the neighborhood.
Vision loss for people is not the end. It's
The
a
story, it's the next chapter.
WGTE Public Media invites you to Get Out and Play Day.
Monday through Friday, it's the 419, powered by WGTE. With Matt Killam, Gretchen DeBacker, I'm Kevin Mullen. What can people expect on the show?
It's going to be an hour, a reminder of why this is a great place to live, work, and play.
WGTE, where you come to watch, listen, and learn.
Welcome back into the 419. It's Wellness Wednesday, presented by Workspring. We're joined now by Jillian Cowell, a school counselor with Waterville Primary. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
You are on the front lines of this every single day. We were talking about, mental health in kids. I guess what does a typical day look like for you as a school counselor? And then let's talk
If there is
about
one.
and let's talk about what's going on with kids.
Sure. So, a typical day is pretty variable, but school counseling programming is presented typically in 3, and then I consider a 4th one, domains or avenues. So classroom counseling lessons are scheduled throughout the year, so I do visit classrooms frequently. And then small group counseling, which is provided to, and that is separate from like clinical level counseling. Small group counseling, really we target specific areas, usually related to some kind of executive functioning skill or social emotional learning skill. So coping skills would be a good one for anxiety. We call it, at my school, we call it Worry Warriors group. And it's just, those are learning groups where students practice different skills in more of a smaller, but still somewhat controlled setting.
Yeah.
Or monitored setting, and then also individual counseling, which is again separate from clinical level counseling, so not quite as intense, more like regularly scheduled or as needed check-ins. I would say more accurately describes that.
Not quite what a teacher would do, but not also what a clinical therapist would do. So you're sort of the in between those two.
Correct.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
So more intensive intervention than what the classroom teacher can
right.
provide, particularly associated with like mental health concerns, and then not at the level of clinical counseling support yet.
You mentioned social emotional. That is a term that I don't believe was used when I was in school.
Yeah.
It has,
And it shows.
Well, I would not be described as having high social emotional learning.
Probably for not just you.
What
me too.
is that, and kind of why is that important as a key component of education today?
Sure. So there's actually social emotional learning standards in the state of Ohio that we are required to teach and support students with. And those are broken up by grade bands, so K to 2, and then I think it's 3 to 5. So in my building, we have kindergarten through 4th grade students. So I guess I'll be kind of focused on them. And I think the biggest importance that I see with developing those skills, so often they are viewed as skills that are like related to family values, like how to be like a good friend, or how to be like supportive, or how to prioritize or make decisions, things like that, make really good decisions. So historically that was family, that was taught by the family, and it still is today, but we also know that not every child is getting that support at home. So having that foundation in schools where every child has access to at least basic level knowledge, like being able to communicate using feelings vocabulary, is really important. And not
showing empathy, like those kinds of things. So give an example of how that manifests itself. If you're in a classroom and you're going into a classroom, what would be like a lesson that you would do to support social emotional development?
Sure. So we use a specific program called Sources of Strength, which is also on the State of Ohio ODU website. But that is, it kind of breaks down like your life into 8 different components. So, and how I kind of introduce it to the kids, even as early as like kindergarten and 1st grade, they kind of understand that, you know, what we know about life is that we have these 8 different areas, but we know that things are not going to always be going well in these 8 different areas. So sometimes what seems easier is giving up or like quitting. And then we talk about the problem with making choices like that, or the problem with not knowing how to push through challenges, is that it really is limiting to not only like the child's ability to be successful academically, but also socially. So working out problems with friends is a difficult skill. It's not an enjoyable thing to do. But we know that no one person is going to be in agreement with us 100% of the time. So that is a skill that's important, so that we don't end up quitting, giving up, losing friends, and then not knowing how to work through these issues, which are going to present themselves all the time.
It seems like such a complex problem, right, to try and address, because if you're talking to a little 6-year-old, a 1st grader, and they learn about, let's just say, empathy or trying to work something out with friends, and then they go home and they don't see that, or they don't experience it, that must be then confusing to them. So do you also work with parents on this type of sort of education or training, or is it just, are you simply trying to reinforce it in the school environment with the kids?
So a lot of elementary school counseling in particular, a lot of that is working with families too. And those are kind of, the way that I work with families is kind of on a tiered basis. So kind of like my programming is presented, whole school, classroom, small group, and individual. That's kind of how my family communication works as well. What I find mostly with the families that I communicate with individually that is really helpful is just sharing my own experience with similar issues. So I have like always had pretty intense anxiety from the time I was little. So when, you know, that shows up in an elementary student in my building, that looks a lot like perfectionism, and it looks just like we want to do everything right, and like hyper focusing on things that we really should just tell them those don't matter. Why are you worried about that? Why are you stressing about that?
Right.
Those are very real stressors. So yes, we need to teach the child to move past those and be able to cope and move on productively, but also we do need to support that feeling
is real
and legitimate. And I'm going to try to avoid using the word normal, but it is not unique to that child. That's not the only child experiencing those feelings.
What advice do you have for parents that, you know, I think about my own kids, you know, they my firstborn is, we're teaching her what type A is, and she is
Yeah.
very type A, right? And she's incredibly talented, does very well in school. I so badly want her to get a C on something now.
I could teach her that.
Right?
Yeah.
No, I know. I was very good at that. But she's a perfectionist, right? And so what can I do? What can other parents do to help break down some of that pressure to be perfect and help kids regulate? Because when my daughter's stressed, me saying this isn't something worth stressing about
Doesn't work.
apparently isn't helpful.
Yeah. That's like
Yeah.
saying calm down to your wife.
I know.
Wait, I'm not supposed to do that?
No, Kevin.
Oh,
You
see?
need to get Michelle back out here.
All right,
She can
hang
help
on.
you.
Yeah. All right, Michelle, come on.
So, go ahead.
Advice for parents.
I guess what I have found that, in my role, like starting out as a new school counselor, this was not something that I was good at by any means, but kind of naturally as I kind of was assessing what approaches worked and what approaches were not as well received, especially by families too. What I think works is to communicate with children like they're what they are, little people. So they're just like telling them how things are, I guess, just being really honest. That doesn't mean that you need to go into, graphic detail about every single way that this problem, whatever it is, can manifest. But just having like open and honest communications. Like, for example, this was not with a small child, but this was like a newer colleague that is just starting out. I was just like, I wish I could fast forward your brain 10 years because I know that this is very stressful for you right now as a new professional, but 10 years from now, you will not believe that this caused you stress at this moment. So we kind of just work towards like establishing trust and rapport, and then maybe some encouragement that like in the future they'll figure it out, or it won't seem quite so big as it does right now. So some of these big stressors that feel very big in the moment are temporary.
Yeah.
And
you
we
can get through
move on. Yes.
How
absolutely.
did you get into this line of work, and how long have you been at this school?
So this is the only school I've been a school counselor in. This is my, I think, 13th or 14th year.
Okay.
But I kind of fell into it. So I have a psychology degree, a bachelor's of arts in psychology, and then I didn't know what to do with that, and you kind of need further education to do anything like related. So a friend of mine was starting her master's program in school counseling, and I was like, maybe I would like that.
Yeah.
Honestly, I thought the schedule sounded kind of
Yeah,
nice.
sounds good.
But I fell into it, and it just happened to be really aligned with like my personal skill set and my values also.
What I guess talk to me about like childhood, kind of what did your parents do? What got you kind of wired to want to be in a school environment? Obviously the allure of the summers is helpful, but the reality is it's stressful.
Oh, absolutely.
10 months out of the year.
Absolutely. And summers are not quite as extensive as 2 months either. So that can be like a little condensed. But my parents both are, well, my dad was the first in his family to be college educated. My mom's family, that was a huge focus area for them. So they really encouraged all of us. I have 4 siblings. They encouraged all of us to pursue college degrees. So that was a real value and priority in my family. They are not educators. Neither of my parents are educators. But the value of like kind of supporting each other and working together and building community and roots that you can then depend on later on was like very much instilled in me from my childhood. So that could have contributed. I think that there's probably multiple factors that led to me ending up in education. But I can't really pinpoint just one or the other. It kind of just fell into place.
We're talking with Jillian Cowell with Waterville Primary. What's your favorite part of your job now?
it's a very, people work thankless jobs. This is not a thankless job. So I am overly appreciated, overly thanked. Like sometimes I feel like it's not necessarily deserving.
Well, that's very nice.
Yeah. So, but really what is beneficial is being able to see the changes in the growth and the meaningful progress forward that these kids can make with the support of their families and the support of their school. So just kind of promoting collaboration, and really our school's theme is like, we're better together. For the last couple of years, that's what we've been focused on, and it really is like literally true. We need each other. So that's, I guess, the best part of my job is seeing that all come together.
I'm so happy that you're appreciated. What is something that you, so much focus now is on the 0 to 5 space, and I know that as a school counselor, you don't deal with 0 to 5-year-olds, or 4-year-olds. What's something that parents or grandparents can be doing with their kids, if you know, in that time frame to get them ready? What would be a priority to get them ready to be a positive influence in the school environment, to be able to adapt to it once they get there?
So I'm going to say just like using emotion language, feeling language. I have started this year, when I speak specifically about feelings, our students will give us the answer like most people, most kids will say good feelings and bad feelings. And I always say that's a really nitpicky way to describe that. I'm really nitpicky about that because things are going to happen that are going to make us feel sad or angry or worried. And if we call those feelings bad feelings, that then that can kind of make me feel like if I feel sad or if I feel worried, that I am making a bad choice, which is not accurate. So it's really, really important, and this is taught and then corrected. Probably everyone in my building is very tired of hearing me say that feelings are not good or bad, but we call the feelings that we like having comfortable feelings, and then the feelings that we don't like to have, are not as enjoyable, or uncomfortable feelings. So
that's
I think just really maybe normalizing communicating about emotions and big feelings or little feelings, and then how do we move past those? So do we take some deep breaths? Do we take a break and do something different for a while? Like shift our focus a little bit. Do we talk about it? What is going to help us move from this place of elevated, heightened emotion to a place where we're calm and focused and able to do our best?
So amazing. Thank you so much for being here and sharing that information for us on Wellness Wednesday.
I love it.
Yeah,
I
me
love
too.
it. In my household, we don't have good words and bad words. We have adult words.
Oh. And
Very
good words?
different.
Yes.
Very
I
different.
mean,
It sounds like you need to move in with the Mullen family, I think.
I need all the help I can get.
It's okay.
So.
I don't think you need it from me as a parent, man.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
We're going to take a
you.
break. When we come back, we'll be joined by Father Jeff Rose and Father Joe Newman from St. Francis de Sales School. It's the 419, powered by WGTE.
Support for the 419 comes from Witro Wealth Management, where we understand that your financial path is personal. Advisory services are offered through Capital Investment Advisory Services, LLC. Securities offered through Capital Investment Group, Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. More information at WitroAdvisors.com.
Destination Toledo. Whether you're a local or a visitor, Destination Toledo invites you to explore the region and be a tourist in Toledo. Find events, dining, and things to do at visittoledo.org.
Workspring. HR issues and employee well-being go hand in hand. Workspring supports employers through compliance, training, and wellness because healthy workplaces don't happen by accidents. Learn more at workspring.org.
Toledo Refining Company, a subsidiary of PDF Energy. Toledo Refining Company is a supplier of fuels that keep our region moving. Located in Oregon, Ohio, the refinery processes crude oil into gasoline, diesel, jet fuel, and other petroleum products.
And Tarda, celebrating its 55th year of connecting Northwest Ohioans to their community. More information at tarda.com.
Welcome back into the 419, powered by WGTE. It's a Wellness Wednesday presented by Workspring. We were talking about mental health in kids, and I'm sure we'll probably touch on that topic with our next guest as well, but we're also talking about leadership transitions. We have Father Jeff Rose, Father Joe Newman from from St. Francis. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, great to be with you.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
So you are the current president, and then you got to come in and clean up all of his mess as the next president.
That's the role. You got it right.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Father Rose, how long have you been at St. Francis?
This is my 13th year, my 11th as president, and Joe and I came in. He had done a year maybe in the early aughts, as we can now say, and then we both started in that fall of 13, and then we both worn many hats. So at one point he was vice president as I was president. Then he is currently our provincial superior, so now he's over top. He's technically my boss, and then
So it's your fault.
So that's how we got the job.
Yeah. That's right. And then, Joe, so you came in, obviously, in a couple different roles, but talk to me about kind of your leadership transition and about the importance of what you guys are doing organizationally to be able to say, hey, this is our next president. I'm really, like we talked about it in the intro to the show, nonprofits do such a bad job of succession planning,
right,
and preparing the next generation of leader and thinking. So I'm curious, how long ago was this? Maybe I'll start with you, Father Rose. How long ago were you looking at Father Joe saying, oh, I think this is our next president?
I think when we, as a school, named him as vice president, it was with the thought that he would be next president. And so then, sort of an action of the Holy Spirit that we elected him the provincial superior, that kind of changed that plan. And then another change within the Oblates, I think, made it more obvious to us that, no, I think, this was always the plan. So, but you're right. I mean, when I came in, Father O did the job for 37 years. I was in third grade when he started as president. I'm 55. So, that the school spent money and intentionally made it part of a strategic plan to say, this is critical. And you're right. We've seen many organizations, great organizations, fumble that handoff. And that's a shame.
Can we be clear about what the role of president is? You're president of the school, but then there's also the Oblates. So these are two separate, which is the priests that run the school. And then there's a principal of the school, I'm assuming, or is the principal considered the president at St. Francis?
I always say the president is CEO and the principal is COO, right? So John Hall, our principal, just graduate, great guy, but so he's in the contracts and he's into curriculum planning, and I or Joe can be a part of those meetings, basically as they see fit. But so I think the president is, there's a chief spiritual officer, chief discipling officer, really making sure we continue the charism and the spirit of the school.
Right. The Oblates are, the religious order that staffs and supports the mission at St. Francis. And one of the wonderful things we're able to do is when we look at the positions that are so important to us, the president, or even down to our teachers, we get together as a community and we say, okay, who is best suited for this? So it's not so much a promotion, but it is a ministry. And it comes first from community, and then we work with the board and others to make sure that what we think is right is right. But that's one of the differences in a religious community as opposed to just a standalone school.
And we talk a little bit about sort of the geography of St. Francis. You're right there, for those that don't know, on the corner of Bancroft and Parkside. You are running Jesu now, too?
Right.
Yes. Okay. So you have the Jesu Elementary School, the Jesu Church. There's that athletic field there on the corner, and then the St. Francis High School. What else about the facilities are there on that campus?
Well, actually, we go a little bit further south there in Parkside, the Visitation Monastery, right?
Okay.
So that's the religious
right,
congregation that Francis de Sales and Jane de Chantal
I remember
started.
my brother would go there to serve the masses at like 5 a.m. or whatever.
That's right.
With my dad complaining the whole time that he had to drive him. But anyway, so you have that all the way down Parkside then.
A Salesian corner, we like to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I want to go back to kind of you, like the moment you realized like this is a path you want to be on. I know I've talked to friends that are priests, and I ask, I'd always ask the question, what's the hardest vow to keep? And inevitably, I'm going into this as an immature, guy thinking I know what the answer is. But the answer every single time has been obedience.
Obedience. Yes.
When did you realize this was something you wanted, and what did that path look like for you?
Yes. So I'm from Toledo. I went to St. Francis. I've known the Oblates of St. Francis de Sales my entire life, because I went to Christ the King. Father Ranoshevsky was there since I was there. And I would have to say that at the end of college, and Father Rose and I speak to people about this all the time, at the end of college, God presented a lot of options. I was studying biology at the time, and God said, do you want to pursue biology? Do you want to go into medicine? Or do you want to try this religious life route? And I looked at all those options, and God said, all of those are good, but you get to choose. And I think that freedom of choice and where do you want to go with your life and what do you want to try first makes that decision all more powerful. With the vow of obedience, we take poverty, chastity, obedience. As provincial, I give out obediences. I can tell you it's more difficult to give an obedience than receive one.
Yeah.
Because you feel really humbled by having to give such direction. Yeah.
What you guys just broke ground on what's going to be a beautiful new facility at the back of campus.
The side, really, yeah. But
talk to me about what that's going to be.
So it's approaching our 75th anniversary in 2030, and we had just looked at, we have a space issue. It's a real premium for us. When we added 7th and 8th grade, those have exploded in growth. There were 23 students in the first year. It's over 115 now. And so we wanted to do you really get one bite at the apple. So this facility, primarily athletics in terms of the new building, frees up all kinds of space in the internal building for classrooms and dedicated space for performing arts. Our musical is just such a powerful program.
Yes.
And so they've never had a dedicated space. They've never complained about it, just that opportunity to say, all right, for our 75th anniversary, how do we really ensure we're a school of destination? We see ourselves as an anchor institution, and that's what's driving that strategic plan. And so, it's a big building. As they carved out the footprint, you're like, ooh, this is big.
It is. What's important about Catholic education today?
I think, I think you can look at it two ways. Why is it important for Catholics, but why is it important for Toledo or for any community? And I say that as a guy that grew up in Adrian, where there really aren't Catholic schools, or at least I was born in 70. Adrian Catholic Central closed the year I was born. But so I think for Catholics, obviously, in terms of their faith development and formation, I think it's kind of the slam dunk. But I think for the larger community, what's important is the identities. Sometimes people joke like, sorry, Father, my son went to St. John's. My answer is always the same. Sorry. Isn't it awesome that Toledo has so many wonderful Catholic schools to share those charisms and then to water and seed our community with really beautiful spiritualities. And really that idea of the importance of putting others first, community service, being invested. As we say, we want our young men, yes, we want them to go to a good college, but we want them to be good fathers and good husbands and good Little League coaches, right? That they're going to invest in the communities that they live in. So I think, and again, I'm a public school product, so it's not that public schools can't do that, but I've noticed that there are things Catholic schools can do day in and day out that are formational, that I just think are more difficult to do in a public school.
We're talking with Father Jeff Rose and Father Joe Newman from St. Francis. Father Joe, I'm curious, we talked a little bit about mental health and students. I'm curious what the resources look like at St. Francis and what you guys are seeing in terms of, in your time at St. Francis, how the high school student has changed.
Yeah. I think, Gretchen, your point about, what additional work can we do in the Catholic school system. And as you mentioned, mental health is a great concern across this generation. And one of the things that we are able to do, along with all of the other professional supports, is there's a great truth we get to speak into our students. And the truth is, you are created from a God who loves you. You belong here. You have great purpose and meaning, crafted by his hands. So I think that great truth about a really deep-seated dignity and identity in each human person is absolutely critical as we speak that day over day into the students. And then building a culture that supports that and recognizes that. That's the way we do it.
We live in a culture that's not that many times. And speaking to the men in your care and talking about that is certainly important to ensure that when they go out into the world, they are that person. But how do you combat it with what they see on social media, what they hear from our politicians, what they may be unfortunately getting from their own families about the role of men in our society today? So what specifics can be done in the school environment for that?
Yeah, this is one-on-one.
Yeah.
This is one-on-one. It's in small groups. One of the big pieces we've encountered is there tends to be a dismissal of the generation. I think you'll often hear, adults saying, oh, the youth of today or this generation. No, it's not true. Every day I'm with those students, and every day I see, my gosh, they are persistent. My goodness, the things they carry, the way they schedule themselves, the way they're able to get back up, the way they're able to encounter failure and all this. It's a wonderful, wonderful generation. And so I think starting from a position as a teacher, oh my gosh, one of the first lessons I ever received, Gretchen, was this. I once said to my mentor, oblate teacher, I said, I don't know how to reach the students. And he said, you're asking the wrong question. The question is, are you able to be reached? So I think that's the approach we use is, are we able to listen and be reached by our students so that we can respond and form authentic relationships with them to help in that formational journey as they become the young men God created them to be.
That's beautiful. I love that.
All right, we're going to put you guys on the spot. It's time to get on the hot seat. It's now time for
I didn't know we were doing this.
Wacky Quiz.
This is literally the first time we've done this with 2 priests or 1 priest.
Or 1 priest.
So,
I'm sure it'll be twice as fun.
That's what most people say.
That's what they
All
do
right,
say.
here's how it works. I'm going to ask you 4 rapid-fire questions off the card. Gretchen's going to ask you to describe Toledo in 1 word. You guys get 2.
Okay.
And then you guys are going to work together to list the 9 best things in Toledo. That's the 4, 1, 9. Okay. Here we go. Question number 1. What do you do when you want to relax?
I garden.
What do you grow?
Oh my gosh, vegetables and flowers. I'm out there all the time as much as I can, hand in the dirt. Love it.
And his work, we all benefit from. It's our Garden of Eden, right? We all, I mean, not just the food, but like a space to go to unwind. But for me, it's music, guitar, piano, whatever. Yeah, I love music.
Before where do you guys live? Is there a...
Our house is attached to the school.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yep.
What's your favorite cake?
I just did this last night. It's it's a white cake where you use Sprite and a pudding mix, and then there's a whipped cream topping on it, but it's got to be pistachio or lemon.
Okay.
Give me a cookie. I'll always have a cookie.
Okay.
Yeah.
A cookie cake. Cookies come in cakes.
Cookies do come in cakes.
Cookie cake is great. What hobby would you love to start?
Ooh.
I mean, you're going to retire here soon.
I know, right? I'm
nothing to do.
retiring.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Motorcycle riding.
I would love to I would love to be a pilot. But it's probably not going to happen, but I'd love to do it.
Hey, you can do it.
My biggest regret is I gave up on the piano. I would love to go back to that.
My mother was right. Never should have given it up.
It's so hard. I grew up playing piano. I still love to sit down at the piano. That's relaxing to me. But my left hand is gone. I can read the right hand.
I'm a guitar player, but I can play guitar and piano. But you're right, like Linus and Lucy, that one always just fries my brain.
What's something that others find easy that you find quite difficult?
Ooh.
Oh boy.
We already know obedience.
Yeah, right.
Others find easy.
Oh my gosh, that's a great one.
Rapid fire.
Oh, that is a toughie.
All right.
Nothing's coming to mind.
Yeah. Well, you know.
Hit the skip button.
Let's skip.
It's because you don't find anything hard. You guys are just so good at everything.
Everything is hard.
Yeah.
Rather new okay.
All right. If you could be a world champion in any sport,
Oh boy.
what sport would it be?
Sepak takraw, no doubt.
I don't know what that is.
Okay, so it's kind of like volleyball, but you can only touch it with you cannot touch it with your hands. Look it up if you've never seen it. It's this woven rattan ball. It is the most insane sport. I wish I could play it and not break my neck doing it.
Maybe
They spike the ball by, oh man, it's crazy.
Okay.
Wow, that's so much better than mine. It'd be high jump. I'm so short, I'd love to be able to jump high.
Just to see that view. Got it.
The pole vault is a cheat to that.
There you go.
Yeah, a little more dangerous.
What's the one word you would use to describe the city of Toledo or the region?
I think authentic. You know, Father Joe was just talking about like one of the things we work with the young men on. But I just think I find this a very real community. People will share if they're unhappy. They support each other. Whatever. I find that really real.
Okay.
Authentic.
Worthwhile.
Love it.
Worthwhile.
I don't think anyone has said that yet.
No, that's a good one. I like it. All right.
Okay, 9 words. I mean, you can use words, you can use things you love, you can use favorite things, but we need 9 of them.
They all have to be owned by St. Francis alumni.
That's good. That's good.
Just helping
you
out.
each get a 4.5 or, you know.
Gosh. Of course, Matt's not here, but you could say Metro Parks as a whole, but I certainly love the Glass City one. I love the and maybe slash the treehouse one. I think
Yes,
that
that
is so
treehouse
cool
is
and
so
so
cool.
nationally
Yeah.
a head turner.
Okay.
I think the cathedral, for people
Yes.
that go to cathedrals, like that go around the country or world, they're always shocked. And,
beautiful.
or if they're really into it, they'll go, oh my gosh, it's one of the best.
I always go to Handel's Messiah there. So good.
Oh, my
yeah.
goodness,
Yeah.
wonderful.
Great. I love our downtown.
Okay.
I love the energy there. We have wonderful restaurants and places
Yes.
to go.
Favorite one.
Favorite one, Emosteria.
Okay.
Excellent choice.
Nice.
I'm going to say
My pen just.
Ottawa Park Golf Course because it's the second oldest public course in the
Yes.
country.
Yes.
Wade Kapsakevich pointed that out to me. And I
Yes.
just found out today the oldest one is in the Bronx.
Yes.
So.
Good. Good. You got 3 more.
I love our accent.
Oh.
When you go other places, they pick it up and they
They're
love
like,
it.
what is it?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know
I
that
do.
I've heard that. I love our accent.
Okay.
I like that.
And as a bit of an outsider, I love that when someone says, where'd you go to school? They're talking about high school.
They are talking about high school. That's
love
right.
that.
Yes.
I love
It
that.
drives my wife crazy.
Right.
I mean, it's a Toledo thing, but it's a Catholic school thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I know where all of my friends went to grade school.
I find it irritating that most people don't have their high school on their LinkedIn. Like, I want to connect you. Some people are like, that's too small. I disagree.
Yeah.
It says a lot.
All right.
I agree.
Last one?
Last one.
All right, each one gets one. Do we have the zoo?
Nope. You got that?
man.
Do you
Gotta
have one
get the
last
zoo.
one?
Well, of course, the Toledo Museum.
Toledo Museum of
My
Art.
goodness,
I
yeah.
love
All
it.
right.
Father Jeff Rose, Father Joe Newman, thank you
Congratulations.
so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congrats on the musical as well.
Oh, it was so fun.
So good.
Best
All right, we're
musical
going to take a
ever.
break, and when we come back, we'll wrap up this Wellness Wednesday edition
Yes.
of the 419.
You laughed with us. You learned with us.
Hi, neighbor.
We made sure your childhood was special. Memories that could only be provided by PBS. For generations, we've given you programs that made a difference. Programs that entertained, informed, and inspired. And today is no different. This is WGTE Public Media in Toledo. It's where you belong.
Support for the 419 comes from Witro Wealth Management, where we understand that your financial path is personal. Advisory services are offered through Capital Investment Advisory Services, LLC. Securities offered through Capital Investment Group, Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. More information at witroadvisors.com.
The 419, powered by WGTE, is made possible in part by supporters like you. Thank you.
Welcome back into the 419, powered by WGTE, as we wrap up a Wellness Wednesday edition. Another jam-packed
See,
show.
we didn't need Matt.
No, we never did.
No.
That's not true.
It was good. That's because Michelle carried the show for us, so that was awesome. Jillian was awesome. And then, you can't beat them.
Father Rose and
Yeah.
Father Joe Newman
Yep.
are just good people doing incredible work, and that's painful for me to say.
Yes,
as a
I
St.
know, it's
John's
hard for
grad.
you to admit.
But I do genuinely love both of them, and I'm a big fan of the work that they're doing, and it's important. Jillian said something that I love so much: comfortable feelings versus uncomfortable
I
feelings.
like that. It's
I'm going
good.
to take that with me. If you miss any part of the interview, you can catch it 7 a.m. on YouTube, 3 p.m. on FM 91, or 6 p.m. on WGTE Connects channel 30.4, of course, online, WGTE.org/the419. It's the 419, powered by WGTE, presented by Witro Wealth Management.
The 419, powered by WGTE, is made possible in part by supporters like you. Thank you.